Do you guys feel like love is dead in some ways? Right? Not the word, not the hashtag, not the type of fake love you see on Instagram, but like real love. The kind that felt like home. The kind your grandparents talk about. Where commitment wasn't scary, where effort wasn't optional, You didn't have to second guess a text message. You didn't have to, wait 5 hours before you text them back because you don't want to come off too strong type of stuff. Where being vulnerable didn't feel like a losing game. And it's 2025, and I feel like everyone's talking, but no one's truly connecting. Everyone's performing, right? But they're not feeling. And honestly, it's hard not to wonder if something sacred got lost along the way. Love sometimes feels like a game where we're all losing. And a lot of people, feel this way, where it's like musical chairs. Everyone keeps circling, but no one wants to actually sit down first and say what they want. People have the fear of catching feelings before the other person does. People get ghosted. They do the breadcrumbing. They have situationships. You could talk every day, but still not feel seen. Everyone's replaceable in this swipe-based world. People, like, it was just different, Like, my grandparents literally met because my grandpa, like, saw my grandma walking, and he was in his truck, and, like, he literally picked her up in the truck. He was like, oh, you want to go for a ride? Now, if you did that, you'd, like, go to prison, Like, now people just go to their job. They sit under fluorescent lights and look at a blue light screen all day. And then they go home and they look at their phone, looking down with their neck, sitting there, and they just swipe, 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 swipe. And like all of your value is just tied to like how you look on some stupid app, And I feel like vulnerability feels like weakness instead of strength. Men used to go to war and they would write love letters, back to their wives. Now we just leave each other on red, or we snap other people. We snap other girls, we snap other guys, and things like that. And I don't know, it just feels like superficial, right? Like I feel like people. It's like online shopping, right? It's like you go on Amazon and you shop for what you want, you order it to your doorstep, right? That's literally how dating feels like nowadays, right? It's like you go on Tinder, you go on Hinge, you swipe. And you just see a bunch of girls and, most of them are, they all say like, I love to travel or like, things like that. And you just scroll, pick, discard. But the thing is, people aren't products. And the reason why dating is so hard is because let's be real, guys. Let's be real. When you're on a date with a girl, like once you're actually on the date, it's not too bad, right? Like you just have to, make conversation and be someone interesting. But getting a person to that first date and retaining them to want to keep going on a date with you is hard because people's attention spans not only have suffered due to the TikTok brain, the social media and stuff, but people are getting pulled in so many directions. Think about it. You have your work notifications. You have Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Slack, Discord. You have text messages from friends, family. You have group chats. You have Snapchat. You have Instagram DMs. You have Twitter. You have TikTok. Like you have so many forms of DM and notifications going you all the time. That is my theory of another reason why it's even harder to get people's attention. You have to stand out, unfortunately. You can't just be like a normal dude and like have all this stuff because people's attention spans are suffering, and also due to the amount of pure notifications and attention that you're getting pulled in so many different directions, right? And dating apps encourage judgment based on aesthetics. Like, the old saying, don't judge a book by its cover. That's quite literally exactly what a dating app is. You're quite literally scrolling through and you're judging them based off, like the first picture you see and like what they say. Everything's short form, even emotions. And you're not choosing for who you are, but how well you market yourself, which, like I said, if you're watching this video and, you're like, okay, well, he's making some good points. I'm not saying that you shouldn't market yourself because you should. Like, you should try to stand out for sure. I'm just saying that it's unfortunate that it's almost like dating turned into a business. It's more about timing and convenience rather than true compatibility. Somewhere between, the filters and the followers, we stopped seeing people for like who they actually are, and we started seeing them as to what they offer. And I don't know, guys. It doesn't feel like it used to. Remember, like you just used to like, actually get like butterflies, or like you used to like, you had a crush on a girl or something like that in grade school or high school, and It's like our grandparents had that, right? They like built love like they built like a home, like brick by brick. They went through storms together. They set a strong foundation. Now, I feel like people rent each other emotionally and they leave when the least feels inconvenient. People are so like ready to leave at any given point in time, and the culture encourages it. I mean, you have people like Ariana Grande making songs like "Thank You Next," like this whole culture that encourages women to not stick around and not want to actually like stick with a guy long term. They just say, "Oh, thank you next. I'll go on to the next guy." And then we have a culture where we encourage men to just want to like do whatever they can, if you know what I mean. And love used to be like an effort. Now people call it chasing. There's nothing wrong with making an effort. There's nothing wrong with buying flowers for a girl. Matter of fact, I think that's good. I think the only point where it would be bad to do that would be if it was an unfair exchange of value. If you were telling a girl how much you love her and buying her flowers and she wanted to give you the time of day, I would probably stop buying her flowers, bro. You know what I'm saying? But like, if you have a girl who truly appreciates you, or if you're a girl and you have a guy that truly appreciates you, let them know that. Cherish them. And like I always say, the grass is greener where you water it. Love is supposed to be an effort. Love is supposed to be hard. Sometimes you're going to fight. Sometimes you're going to have disagreements. But that's what makes love love. That's what makes it fun. You get through the hard things together. And I feel like most people don't understand that. Our grandparents stayed loyal through problems. Now people bounce at the first inconvenience. We've confused freedom with avoiding connection. Everyone's quote unquote working on themselves, but no one's working on us. Like I used to hear that all the time. I'm just going to work on myself. It's like, okay, bro, you're 30. Like when are you going to stop working on yourself? Like, and you can work on yourself and still meet women. You can work on yourself as a girl and still meet a good guy. Like that's the thing I never understood. LeBron James is one of the most dominant athletes of all time. You can think whatever you want about him, but he's been dating the same girl since he was 16, right? Conor McGregor has been dating the same girl for many years, right? There's plenty of people who are successful and worked on themselves but still had a woman, right? Now, you have to find a good woman that's going to stick by you and support your goals. And if you're a girl, right, you have to find a good guy that's going to stick around and support you as well. But there's nothing wrong with working on yourself and working on ourselves as a couple together. I think that's very important. It's what our grandparents did, right? Like we feel like we've lost this deep, true connection that people used to have. And the thing is, like, they didn't have it figured out. Like, our grandparents didn't have it figured out. I mean, heck, they didn't even have social media. Like, think about that. Like, we can hate on the boomers, like, and stuff like that because they bought houses for 5 raspberries or whatever the joke is. But at the same time, they also didn't have access to information. Like, they literally just had to figure it out. But they showed up. They stayed. And that's rare now. So, like, in my opinion, is love dead? I don't know. Right? I don't know if it's dead or not. I feel like it is, but maybe it's just hiding, right? Maybe it's buried under the noise, the distractions, the fear of commitment, not wanting to tell people how you truly feel. Or maybe it's just tired, right? Like it's tired of being turned into a performance. Like when did dates become a job interview? Like I feel like you go on a date now and it's like an interview, talking about like all these different things. And maybe love is tired of being turned into an interview. It's tired of being replaced by ego. It's tired of being something people want, but aren't willing to work for. Do you guys ever feel like a real connection is becoming harder to find? I'd love to find out because I have this conversation with a lot of people I know personally, and it seems to be a real problem in today's world. And we see that whether it's the music, the culture, social media, real interactions becoming less and less day by day. And my second question for you guys is, what do you miss most about how love used to feel? Did you ever have that feeling of like that true love, that real connection that seems harder to find nowadays? Right? Drop a comment below. It doesn't have to be deep, super deep, just honest, because maybe if enough of us start feeling it again, maybe love won't stay missing forever. If this resonates, guys, or if you like, what I talked about in this video, please consider subscribing or sharing this with your friends. And, I look forward to talking to you guys next time.